recording button. And
And we're
hello
on.
and welcome once again to Nerf Check. Oh, if only you guys could hear what happened before we hit the record button. We've solved all the world's problems, and now you are stuck with the brains, the looks, and me, and the best of the McCready's. So I've been told a few times over, and the only one that actually made it to Crossroads because he wasn't scared. We are here with Mike and with Ray, who went to Crossroads, and they're going to go over what happened while they were there and not bring up Jeff Traich at all because screw you, Ray. And you didn't get me my video call, and I'm still mad at you. So, so let's get going from there. Why don't we start with you there, Mike? What did you bring? Who went with you, and who didn't?
Sure. So I brought free doors to Crossroads on the A team. Steve MacArthur came with me, and John and our other friend Alex both dropped at the very last minute, the day before we were supposed to leave.
That's true.
Left us at half strength heading down to the States.
I believe
Corey
the term is
kindly
half-mast, but
Corey kindly filled us out with a couple of ringers. Steve King and Eric, and I didn't catch Eric's last name. So they
Nameless face on the way to the not podium.
Sorry?
I said nameless face on the way to the not podium.
Yeah, as Ben's alluding, we didn't finish in the top 3. I think we wound up about 13th out of 22, but it was a fun event. And Steve and I still had a great time. John and Alex just go now.
I didn't, so
I think my time is better than sitting at home with COVID.
Yeah, it probably was. How'd the games go? How are the matchups?
And to be fair, you ended in 12th out of 22 teams, so you were almost in the top half.
Yeah.
You almost
Pretty
got
close.
the countercharger,
Yeah.
and you did a significant improvement with 2 members over the year before.
I don't know about
I didn't
significant,
go.
but Mike wasn't. Yeah, I don't know about significant, but that's jury's out. I don't have the stats from last year.
But I think we can safely say that me and Steve are better than you and Alex and Steve.
I don't know if we can say that either because I don't have the scores from last year, but we'll table that for another time.
Until we find the scores, which I'm pretty sure. However, let's get into your first round matchups and that sort of thing. And oh, wait, he's gone. That's it. He's got enough of us.
So, first round we played, I think Nerdhammer 2, which was Bart Kohler's team.
What happened to the challenge between you and the Breakfast Club?
Yeah, so for round 1, we only had 3 players: Steve, me, and Steve King. There wasn't a 4th ringer available that time, and Bart's team also had 3 players, so Corey shuffled things around a little bit. So Bart and I played Bart's team, and our team played first round. Bart's team was him and a father-son duo, where the son was at his first GT.
Oh, nice.
It was great.
Was this like a young guy, or was it?
Yeah, he's
a younger gentleman.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I wonder if it's the other Nerdhammer guy who used to play Sylvan King all the time.
No, it wasn't Griff's son. Griff's son did show up. He had a proper Nerdhammer outfit, but he wasn't able to show up until Saturday late evening.
So proper Nerdhammer outfit. He was in a baseball uniform with 250s, like
absolutely. But and his actually has his name on it. So
yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
That's okay.
But that young man was looking forward to the tournament and looking forward to playing. So how did the games go?
They were good. Steve played Bart. Steve King played the father, and I matched up against the son. He brought a pretty balanced Guardia list, and I had my free dwarves. Ended up in a victory for me, but it was a very good game, and he's picking things up really quick, because I think this was only his 6th or 7th game.
All right. And sorry, you went what on that? You went you 2-2 that one, or what was that?
Steve and I both won, and Steve King lost, so 2-1 out of the 3 games. And then round 2, we actually did patch up against our original challenge. So we paired against the Breakfast Club. I played Jake in that round with his herd, and I had a fairly convincing victory in the end. We went 1 win, 1 draw, and 2 losses that round. We had 2 wins and 2 losses. Sorry, I'm getting the rounds mixed up. That was 2 wins and 2 losses. Corey Reynolds filled in as our 4th for that round, which helps with the matchups. Both Steves lost their games against Ed Fisk and Joey Greek, who are obviously 2 very good players.
One of them being the current master. Yeah.
Yeah. Round 3, we played. Oh, you guys.
Yes.
Played the Little Red Devils, which was Ray's team. Ray and I played. Ray kicked my ass. And our other teammates, I think it ended up being 2 wins for you guys and a draw and a loss.
Yes.
So we were 1 win, a draw, and 2 losses. Pushing us a little further down the rankings. That was the end of day 1. Do you want to go over your games, Ray, before we?
Sure. Well, what came about for our team was not as established as the venerable A team, which has been in existence for probably all of Crossroads now. What happened was I was kicked off the Aristocrats back in June. And I was
apparently where you deserve to be for where they ended up.
Absolutely. And I was a free agent. So I was like, who wants to join my team? And Nerdhammer was full, but looking at how they finished, they could have used our assistance.
Yeah.
So Tim, Eamon, and Matt said, "Hey, I'll join your team." So we had a proper Canadian team. We came up with a proper Canadian title, which, being that Crossroads is close to Halloween, I looked up historical titles for Canadians, and Little Red Devils was the name given to the 1st Canadian Division in World War II. So I went with that. And we went. Eamon had Ogres with 5 Shieldbreaker hordes. Matt did Riftforged Orcs with 2 units of what are the flyers? Hell Strikers. And the Legion with Sharpness, which was the popular pick for Riftforged Orcs.
Yeah.
And then Tim had a massive unit strength 33 Free Dwarf list. So the first day began, we had challenged the Shambling Host because we were like, hey, we'll have 2 good games against them, 4 good games. We'll win 2, lose 2, call it a draw. Like, aim for mediocrity. That was the goal of the entire tournament. 500. Well, Shambling Host did not get that message, or they were taking advantage of us. So we were playing John Holst Has a Posse because that's their name. And they decided to go 0-4 against us. And like Tim beat Corey Waltzer.
Yeah.
I beat Bill with his Forces of Abyss. Like, we won. And I got like 19 points. And I look over at Eamon and I'm like, how do you do? And he's like, I got 21. And his comment was, as soon as he said that, he saw like the blood flush out of my face. Because I'm like, we're already up to 40 points. There's 2 of us and we have 2 other players. We're not going to be on the bottom, like mid tables or bottom tables round 2. So we got over the cap. We got about 19 points. And the first round was capped at 16. And so we had to go up against Drop Tro for round 2 on table 1. So the plan of like mediocrity and just enjoying being in the middle tables was quickly crushed as we moved our trays up to table 1, which was funny because the day before we were talking with them going, hey, look, like, what's the plan for bidding? Like, how do you do this? Do you want to be the attacker or defender? And they're like, oh, well, and I was like, you guys can tell us. We're not going to play. We're not that good. So we were discussing the strategies and how being defender lets you get the last 2 matchups and so forth. And sure enough, round 2, we're playing them. And my only comment to the team at that point in time was just enjoy the fact that we legitimately made it to table 1. We probably won't be here again. But we got thumped. Like, I absolutely trounced. I went to go first, and I picked, or they pulled me out, and they gave me Eric. Not Shannon. Shannon was the one they hid from me.
Kyle and Andy.
Kyle Poole, the
And-
Goblins. Yeah,
yeah.
because you played Kyle, right?
I played Kyle because I was like, you know what? I've never played Kyle in real life. I want to play him. That was it. That was there was very little thought about strategy because I had, given up that round. But
And you're an engineer, so we don't expect it. Don't worry.
fair enough. And I lost. And I had a very critical double ones where he turned the side of his chariot, king on chariot. So I had to put both of my hordes of shock troops into the flank of it. So I had 120 attacks. We stopped counting at about 60 wounds. Double ones.
Of course.
Which meant that I got rear charged by one of his special characters that then wavered me and then ate me the next turn. The other shock troop horde had to spend an extra turn taking out this stupid king on chariot. Like that point at the end of turn 4 was when it went all bad for me.
And Kyle Poole's like, plan worked.
The only thing that tops that was Tim. Tim rolled 3 double ones against Eric Trowbridge.
Oh,
And double ones that mattered. And Eric was like, I was actually worried until that turn. And then he rolled 3 double ones. And then it was like game. And Eamon rolled another, all 3 of us had double ones on our side that all mattered. And even Matt rolled double ones, but in his game, Shannon rolled double ones. So at least that one was like an even
balanced out.
matchup. Yeah. So Matt actually had the highest score, but I think we got 3 points and we were buffeted by the minimum of 5. So life was good. And we ended up solidly at 21. I think we would legitimately be 21 because we were over and under, but just the way it worked. Then we got to play the A team and it was like, oh, well, this will be fun. And Eamon's like, I want to play Steve. Whatever we have to do, I'm playing Steve. And I was like, I've never played Mike. I'll play Mike. So we got to do it. Mike got a bit hungry for the win, and I took advantage of his greed. I was like, if you beat me, then you can tell John that you're the only McCready that has beat a Shields in tournament play. And so I enticed him and took advantage of his.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
So that was the day one. Team did really well. We ended up day one slightly ahead than 500. So we were ahead of our objective. 4 big wins, 4 big losses, and then 2-1-1.
All right. Well, we've kind of skipped over a couple of things here, as we do. The scoring, the pairing system was changed this year, correct?
Yes. So
what was it like this time around? Because I've done the last 2 years. So what was it this time?
So to the best of my knowledge, and Mike, we were both team captains, so we probably both got it slightly wrong. I pulled out the sheet. Unlike in the player pack, you got 6 scenarios. So you both roll dice. High die is the attacker. High die can say, I want this scenario removed from the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hide one of your players and you call out one of the opponent players, and they get to choose who they're playing against from the 3, and then you get to choose the scenario.
And then it alternates from there.
And what we found, Mike, you can talk from your team's perspective, is that it meant that all the players were engaged in the pairing process, because you always had the choice of saying, I want to play this scenario, or I want to play that person. And each person could have I think I can do well against this, or I think I can play this scenario well. So when I put Tim up against Corey in round 1, it was for control because Tim has 33 unit strength, and that's a scenario you want to play in it. So we were able to manipulate. I don't know, Mike, how did you find it with your team? Were you guys all engaged on the?
Yeah. So I hadn't been a team captain before, so this is my first time doing the pairings. But I think from from previous years where I would just wait until Alex told me who I was playing and what scenario it was, it seemed like the team was more engaged. Where you weren't doing. There was less hidden information, I guess, in the pairing system this year. So yeah, I think it worked. I think it worked pretty well.
I liked it. I don't know if I'd recommend any changes. I think the defender, because they got to choose the last two matchups, just the way it worked,
Yeah,
had a bit of the strength.
yeah. You almost want to have the other person be able to choose both scenarios, because by picking the second last matchup, you've picked the last matchup.
Yeah. Well, I know me and John have, when we played in OTC, it used to be we roll off and the highest roll got to pick either matchups or scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So you pick tables and scenarios, or you pick matchups, and I kind of like that over the way that this has been done anytime I've been. But I kind of get where
you can't do that for this though, because in War Machine you had two lists that you could play, right?
True.
So you had some matchup mitigation already going on, whereas here, if you control all the matchups, so if you draw the matchups and I'm playing against Ray's team, they put me against Ray because I got a bunch of flying shit and he's all friggin' ensnared phalanx.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the absolute least ideal matchup.
I think
and then they give Tim you, Ben, because you normally play a lower unit strength army. So you got to eat Tim, which good luck with 33 unit strength.
Yeah.
And then like to cover off against Mike, they'd probably give Mike probably the Hellstriker list because it's fast and it can punch hard. And outspeeds the dwarves, so it out-threats everybody and can get in there and do there's no mitigation at that point if you do it that way.
There's a little too much rock, paper, scissors in Kings of War for that to work. I think having the alternating matchups and scenarios makes more sense. It's just as Ray mentioned, that those last two is kind of that.
And I think you're right.
You were basically chosen by one, and then you also get to choose a different way.
I think that might be the suggestion I asked Dojo to try is where the defender picks the last two matchups. In essence, the attacker gets to pick the scenario for those two matchups, because like if there's 4 players left and you're like, I'm calling for, Mike to come down and choose between Ray and John, like Mike gets to choose the matchup. Ben's going to play the other person. So you already know who the matchup is. Yeah. You might as well let that team pick both scenarios.
Yeah. All right. I just thought we'd go over that, and because I know this sort of thing is always not a bone of contention, but it can't. There can't be any real best way of doing this. Like I'm sure we could probably come up with like 5 or 6 different ways of doing something, and it would still be bad. So
I think this way was slightly more complicated than the previous version, but I think it worked pretty well.
And I didn't hear too many complaints about it, so they must be doing something right. Yeah. The points were different.
That was the bigger change for sure.
So before they did what did they do? The accumulation,
with the total of your round score, yeah.
And this time they did the average. So where Mike was playing with three players on the first round, like.
Yeah, it means if you have a drop, you're not out of the tournament. You can still, compete to a higher level. Whereas before, when it was just the total of your round score, if you had a drop, you're fucked.
And before they had like the cap at 80 points and minimum of 20, so they just divided it by 4 to say.
Yeah, I think it was 60,
but they made it 16 and 5.
Yeah, I think it was 60.
I think it was 60. I think
they kept around 16 and 5 this time?
Yeah.
16 and 5.
Yeah. Kept things pretty tight through most of the events. Like one team couldn't really run away with it. Like right till the last round, the top 4 or 5 teams were all in contention.
Well, I think that works out better for this tournament, because I mean, it is the most fun tournament in the year. Like there is, it really is.
You need a cap.
Yeah. But and you don't want somebody just to run away with it completely. And I mean, normally the cream rises to the top anyway. So,
well, and let's face it, like the top team from battle score was actually drop show. As much as the aristocrats won, they only won on appearance.
They won by a quarter point as well total.
A total, yes, but the battle
A
score was
quarter point
66
to win.
66 and 3/4 to 65 and a quarter. So
Yeah.
it was only a point and a half difference. Battle Pilgrims
Did
was
Chavez
sitting
have somebody else's fully painted army then?
at,
Because his army is usually whatever
But
he's
he's
got on the go, right?
he's
Oh, he
got-
brought his dwarves though. He's got
Yeah.
good
brought
dwarves.
his dwarves, and the
Yeah,
other
dwarves.
three were Zettelmeyer, Mike Adkins, who both have beautiful armies, and John Quayle.
Drop Tro showed up. They were second. Battle Pilgrims was third with 63.25.
So yes, it's a very tight spread
So
at the
that's
top.
like
So
it
times
was
by 4, there was essentially 12 points difference, like 12 battle points in any one game was the difference between third place and first.
Jesus.
that's very
Like
close.
and
Yeah.
over the course of 5 bloody games, that's like a point here and there. Like it's
And I think all three of those teams played each other.
Alan
probably good.
had the fourth highest with 60 points as well. So
Mhm.
there were some pretty high levels.
Well, let's get on.
I
and,
like the score. So for what it's worth, I
Yeah.
would recommend keeping the average moving ahead. Like
Yeah, I
Mike
thought
said,
that worked much better this year.
well, that being said, we should really get on to game 2. But before we do, did we go over your? I know you did say who all your team was playing, didn't you, there, Mike? And I
I think
blanked
so.
out
So
on it.
I mean, I can recap. So I did Free Dwarves. I really wanted to try the Stone Claws.
Were they good?
Yeah, they were good. I liked them. Very useful piece. I'm still figuring out the best way to use them. It's weird having something that can charge 20 inches in a dwarf list.
And it's nimble, so you can just scoot
it's
them up
nimble.
and turn them in.
Yeah, I
He
did that
did.
to Ray.
Yeah. He got a juicy
ate,
flank from it.
ate a flank charge from a swarm to take a flank charge on some shock troops, so that was worth it.
Yeah, right. It is.
Steve played Night Stalkers. He had made some tweaks and fit in a couple of the Tormentor troops.
And phantoms. He had phantoms
Phantoms.
now, which
You
is a
finally
huge
put phantoms in.
He finally got some
Phantoms
done.
in. And it worked. He won
Yeah.
3 games, and he had a lot of fun playing them. He really liked the kind of movement shenanigans he could pull with all those fast units that he'd squeezed in.
You mean with the best chaff in the game, really?
Yeah.
Best chaff. And the Tormentors did a lot of work. Charging over stuff to hit flanks, they did a lot of work for him.
That leaper rule, as I found in Masters, actually can do a lot more than what people do not expect. That when there's a character behind a unit and they go, wait, what do you mean
Not
you
a
can see it?
character, a troop that hits on
Oh yeah,
3.
anything that's because they go to height 3 and that's not bad to be able to see over whatever.
And it's easy to force troop size gaps into lines when you position your front rank units.
Yep.
Steve King played elves. Pretty typical elf list. Some shooting, some combat. And Eric, our fourth, brought a Imperial Dwarf list. Pretty typical one as well. He had the formation, some extra infantry units. I think he had 1 Brock Rider regiment and a bunch of sharpshooters.
Sharpshooters, who plays those?
They're great.
All right, well, let's get into day 2. And at this point, do you know roughly where you're sitting in the standings there, Mike? Or
I wasn't paying attention to
you
that.
wasn't paying any attention whatsoever?
We weren't in first, and we weren't in last. We were in the bottom half somewhere, but I don't know exactly where we were going into day 2.
Right.
First round, day 2, we played. Remember who we played last round?
Yeah, 1 round in between.
Fuck.
Do you remember the army you played against?
Oh, we played Barry's. No, not. We played Captain Tom and his mutinous crew.
Oh, okay.
Thomas Struther and his team. They had 2 Abyssal Dwarf armies, 1 Dwarf army, and 1 Varangur army.
Yeah, we remember we were looking at that and thinking,
Yeah.
like, shouldn't you have put some shooting in this at some point in time? I think is what we actually said.
So that was fun. I paired against the Dwarf list. Brian. Steve played Tom with his Abyssal Dwarves. And then our other two guys played the other Abyssal Dwarf list. That was Tom's list was mostly golems with the shooting upgrade, and then the other one was a couple of golem hordes and a couple of grotesques and some supporting stuff. And then the I think it was Steve King elf list paired against the Varangur. They didn't have stealthy cav, so that I hope that might work out okay. It didn't. The Varangur won. I had a good game against the dwarf list. It was he had a surprising amount of heal packed into that list between Celestial Restoration and Shroud of the Saint and the Radiance Life on the Stone Priest and the Iron Resolve on Gollix. So he was pulling 8 or 9 wounds off units every turn.
Jesus Christ.
It was very aggravating.
Yes.
But I had a couple of things break my way in the middle. Got some good flank charges with my Greater Elementals and cracked it open. And we were playing Invade, so I wound up with a healthy win. Steve fought Tom to a draw in the end. He just couldn't quite get to the last Golem Horde that was sitting on the center token in Rays. I want to say they were playing, so they ended up tying 2-2. And our other two guys lost, so it was a 1 win, 1 draw, and 2 losses that round. And then round 5 was against the Ithaca Lakers, which is a team we've actually played before, once or twice maybe at Crossroads. I think we played them, the full A team played them the very first year they came. Bryant Munson and I can't remember their names now. You'd recognize them, John, if you saw them. They're good guys. They're always good guys to play against. They're very friendly and easygoing during the game. So I played Bryant with his elves. The other lists on their team were Kingdoms of Men, Northern Alliance, and I can't remember what the fourth list was because it was at the other end of the table. It was a good round. Brian's a great guy to play against. There was a moment in the middle of the game where I missed seeing a flank charge onto my Ironclad Horde from one of his Drakon regiments. He had the Drakon formation, plus a horde of Drakons, and Gladestalkers and Seaguard and Elf Cav. It was a gross list. I missed seeing a flank charge, so we pulled off a double charge in the front of my Ironclad Horde, hindered with Cav and the Drakon Horde, and then a flank charge with the Drakon Reg, and just blew up my Ironclad Horde right in the middle of my line. But then there was a sneaky flank charge I could pull because the Greater was taller than the Drakons onto the Cav that was sitting beside them. It's just enough of a gap they could go up and get around and get the Cav, and that tipped it back in my favor when I could blow those units up in return. Ended up winning that game as well. Steve won his game, and Steve King won his game, and Eric lost his game, so we ended up being 3-1 that round. So overall, I don't know what our win-loss ratio would have been for the team. It wouldn't have been amazing, but it was decent. I think I went 4-1 on the weekend. Steve went 3-1-1. Steve King, I think, was a win, a draw, and a couple of losses. 3 losses, I guess. And Eric would have been. He only played 3. He played 3 rounds, and he had 3 losses.
So you fed what happened is you fed him to all the best players just to make. He was taking one for the team the entire time, and
obviously that's what you always do with the newbies is you throw them right under the bus.
Except for when that Corey guy showed up. I mean, I hear he's pretty good. So
I didn't even know he was joining our team.
Around in Corey's there.
So we thought we paired up against Breakfast Club. They have 4 players. We know there's another team with 3, so we thought Noah was going to go play somebody else. We thought he was going to play Marcelo, I think, because Battle Pilgrims had paired against Nerdhammer. And then I turn around and somebody's like, "Yeah, Corey's playing Noah." It's like, "Oh, all right, 1 win for us."
It's kind of the ringer. It's like, oh, this is going to go okay then. Okay.
He made it happen that he could play Noah.
Corey and I talked about it before. He's like, I might step in for one of your games since you're not going to make it. And he sent me the like Stone Cold Steve Austin gif when Stone Cold Steve Austin walks out when you're expecting like a random other opponent. Like, yeah, that's what that is.
That's pretty much it.
Oh, I'm gonna play a ringer. Well, fuck me, it's Corey.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Noah said it was a very gentle thrashing.
Yeah, I've been beat by that man a couple of times. It's always gentle until the end, and then it hurts, and it hurts a lot.
It's just your memory that hurts, Ben. It's
Yeah.
just your memory.
He just pats you on the head and goes, "Don't worry, it'll all clear up in a little while." So
The funniest part was after the game, Noah was like, "Yeah, Corey was kicking my ass, and at the same time, he's still running the event and answering questions and like leaving the table a bunch of times." So like, yeah.
I don't even need to be here for this game. Huh? All right, there, Ray. So you got 2 games. This is how you podium and show the aristocrats that you were. Oh, wait, you didn't.
Well, not quite. We were up against the Breakfast Club, and they called me out, and they protected Jake because Jake had a herd list which had less success or possibility than John's list would against me, because where John has flying and thunderous charge, Jake has no flying and thunderous charge. So that's not what failing.
Nature.
So I lost to Ed at Orktown in round 5. So I was like, fuck it, Ed. I have to play you again. Because last time he beat my Green Lady in Control, and he was like, we're going to play Control. And it was my favorite game of the weekend because I'm playing him, and I set my rats like less than 6 inches from the board edge. And he sets up. And we roll for first turn, and he gets the choice. He's like, I'm going to... And then he's like, fuck me, Ray. You didn't give me any shots. And I was like, no, Ed, why would I do that? And he's like, you can go first. I'm like, fine. I'm not moving. Like, I didn't move my entire main battle line. Moved up the flanks. So I denied him shooting for turn 1. And like it was a nail biting game, and like I thought I was losing, he thought he was losing. We finally get to turn 6, and we count it all up at the start of turn 6, and I'm winning 5-2. So at the end of turn 6, I'm winning 5-2 on Control against ogres, and I'm like, well, hopefully there's not a turn 7, and there's a turn 7. So he was able to like get rid of the shock troop horde, and he was able to bring it down to a 3-3. And he's like, I got lightning bolt on your claw shots, and if I get them, then they're dead, and I'll win this 3-2. And so he had to get an 8 twice. He got 8 once, and he got a 6 the second time. And at this point in time, I swear, like the 9 tables around us were watching us as we were pretty loud at this point in time, as Ed is. And it was a blast. So it ended in a draw. There was 40 points attrition difference. But it was better than losing to Ed, which happened at Orktown. So now I'm on the ascent. A loss, a draw, and sometime in the future a win. So I was the draw. Tim was the win. Tim beat Noah. I think he played Invade. I tried to stack him up with Invade as often as possible because with 33 unit strength and with rallied free dwarfs, that's an awful lot of nerve to chew through. And then
and they can scout up a lot of them too, right? So
he didn't take the
dwarf problem with Invade. No. Oh,
but he took 3 rally banners. So he had 3 rally banners and 7 regiments or something like that, plus the Brocks.
16, 18 ironclad regiments marching up the board with ordered march.
Coupled with shield breakers at 17, 19 when they rallied. So it was a lot of nerve.
Yeah.
Eamon lost to Jake, and Matt lost to Joey. But like you said, Breakfast Club has some really great players on their team. So we again, we're at 500. We were 2-1-1 against Mike's team, and then we were 1-1 or 1-2-1 against the Breakfast Club. So we were going into round 5 solidly at 500, and then we got to play Dicks. Our dicks are many, and our heart is one. Mike Ireland's group, and being Dojo, they understood the pairing process. So we got to play a bunch of dicks for round 5. And
There's a big bag of them.
Just more than what we could handle. Like, it was just the way it was.
Not what I've heard about you.
Too many dicks for Ray.
I didn't think this was possible.
So
Really ruined it.
Supposed to be a
Not Ray,
secret.
keep going, buddy.
Supposed to be a secret. Come on, that was his secret, and you publicly aired it.
so we play
Eiffel Towers are private business.
They
Oh,
call
I'm supposed to record?
I'm coming out, and Keith is like, I want to play Ray. And I don't know.
Amazing.
I didn't realize you were coming out today, Ray. I should have probably warned us.
Only for you, John.
We could have gotten you balloons or something.
Could have killed that.
I'm glad you caught that as well. That is great.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
So yeah,
coming out,
please,
and
round 6, and anything else important you want to tell us?
Well, he's like, I
round
want to
6,
play
Ray's
you. I'm
coming
like,
out. Here we go.
but you play ogres. And he's like, yeah, and I saw your game against Ed, and I think I can beat you. I'm like, okay. So I won that game, and
Well, just get to the finish. Like, geez.
I thought we agreed it's who finishes first wins.
I know. We're waiting for you to finish. The rest of us are done.
So we won 2 games, we lost 2 games, and we ended our complete record 500. But somehow our 500 was pretty awesome, and we ended in 7th spot.
Nice.
What?
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Well, you must actually score
Sports
some
and
points.
appearance help.
No,
Yeah.
the sports was not included in the overall.
Just battle and paint.
Oh,
Just
you just had a
battle and
500 record and ended up 7th in battle?
But our 500 record
All right.
included quite a lot of 21s. Eamon had some solid
that'll do it,
impressive
yeah.
wins where we were
500 records
blackjacking.
higher in the average score, right?
Yeah. So our losses were minor, and we got like a 16 and a 20 in round 5. So they were big
That
wins.
helps, yeah.
And round 5 was uncapped.
That
Yeah.
we only got like a 10.75, so slightly above average, but above average. So anyways, it was a blast. I look forward to going to Crossroads next year. I don't know what the team name is. I don't know what team I'm going to be on, since we'll see it. We have mercenaries coming from all around the world for this event.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to see what Canada comes up with next year, because there were quite a few Canadians.
Well, we happen to have the top Canadian on this this podcast right now, and after looking up the list there, Mr. McCready, apparently with a 69, you seem to have come in ahead of all the other Canadians.
It's true.
Unfortunately, Nathan is number 2 with a stat 68. I mean, if you can't pull off the entire damn thing, why don't you? I think you should get a round of applause. And of course, we do no editing, so we're not going to applaud or add it in. But yeah, an overall score of 69.
You deserve one. You're just not going to get it here.
You're just not going to get one. I absolutely believe you deserve one, but you're just not
Personal
going
record in the team event was, of
We're
course,
just
more.
not going to give it to you.
No, yeah. I was sad I couldn't go, but it was a damn good reason why I couldn't go. So maybe next year, if Corey puts it on a different weekend.
He's
God
not.
help me.
It's the same
I
weekend.
know he's not. I know he's not.
It's already confirmed. It's not.
So it might take some fendangling, but we'll see about next year. But yeah, I wish I was there. I hope you guys had a good time. I mean, it sounded like it was just I was getting updates on and off throughout the entire weekend. I got about
it's always great.
I got 5 different pictures of Jeff Trace, and I was
Yeah.
sad every time I got one. Got a couple of pictures of you two playing, which was kind of fun as well. But
Well, people were coming by saying, "Gosh, you travel all this way, and you two get to play." And it's like, I've never played Mike. Like,
yeah, I know.
this was my first game.
Next time we play Ray, I'll make sure I read the scenario first.
He won't give you the free win, is what he's saying, right? Yeah.
You mean I'm gonna have to buy him dinner first?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Fries count, by the way. We've talked about this.
Only if you're a gentleman. If you're not a gentleman, then all bets are off.
So
How
anything
much
you get?
degenerate gambling happen on children's games? How much degenerate gambling happening
there's a lot of,
on children's games in the evening?
There's a lot of Harry Potter strike dice going on.
Yes.
That's the
I
one.
didn't,
That's the one.
I didn't join in, but it seemed like they're having a good time.
I lost $5
a
dollars
great
in quick succession, and then I was like, clearly this is not the game for me.
Wow, really? You lose? Well,
That's
then
just
again,
the learning
you
curve,
got
Ray.
$5
That's just your
American.
entry.
Well, it was like the speed. Like
Oh,
it was
yeah,
like I was the first one out for 5 times in a row. I was like, not my game.
That's just the learning curve. And yeah, it's American singles, so it's fun gambling. It's not like you're whipping loonies at each other. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, that's like $50 Canadian. Like, what the
It
hell?
is, and, half the price of the hotel room.
Did oh, but so what did you guys? I know this is your second. Really, it's your second tournament out there with going back to the Rats there, Ray. So engineers going back to Rats. I mean, kind of seems like something that should happen. I mean, deserve each other.
The Rats are done.
The Rats are done.
The Rats are done. They got out for 3 tournaments, including King Beyond the Wall, and that's the most times I've danced with a dance partner in like 3 years. So there will be a new army for Nerdhammer.
For Nerdhammer.
Yep.
All right. What about you there, Mike? Free dwarves aren't normally your bag, man. Like normally it's the Imperial ones, or did they, tickle your fancy? Did they do anything you needed them to do?
It's fun. I don't know if it's quite as competitively tuned as the Imperial Dwarf list. Having the faster units is a lot of fun, though, and all the Pathfinder's fun. And I'm going to stick with them for a little bit longer.
Well, I guess that ends Crossroads. So some of us will instead not be going to Nerdhammer. We'll be going to Spooky Murder Ghost, which is coming up in like, I don't know, a week or two. Apparently somebody's missing that.
3 weeks.
3 more weeks.
I heard there's a special rule about Spooky Murder Ghost. Do you want to give any hints?
Don't tell me.
Anyone who's listened this far, do you want to tell them what's in the player pack that they should know, John?
There is a special rule of this tournament. Well, there's a special character, so you get a Spooky Murder Ghost, which I made less effective than the first time. The first time, I'm like, he should have Cloak of Death. Seems reasonable. He's a ghost. It did more work than some people's entire armies combined. So, toned that down and just gave him Dread this time. Seemed much more reasonable. But there's also a rule in the pack called Haunted Houses. So Haunted Houses means that there is a 3-inch aura coming off both obstacles in the game. So the big blocking pieces of terrain, not every piece of terrain, just the big like houses and whatnot that we use. So those emit a 3-inch dread aura as well that affect both you and your opponent. So good luck with your nerve checks.
Does that track with the Spooky Murder Ghost?
I didn't say it didn't, so sure.
Okay.
Dread doesn't stack. I mean, again, you heard it.
I mean, technically it doesn't. The rules are the rules, but whatever. We'll see.
Well, we'll see what happens on the day and what happens there. So for the first time in a long time, and since I've been asked not to,
my internet's been cutting out badly. I'm just waiting for everybody to catch back up on my screen. There we go.
You mean like now? There we are.
Yeah. There we go. And we're back.
Hey, we're
Yeah,
all
so technically Dread doesn't stack, but as I'll likely be TOing as well, and I am very open to bribes, we'll see what happens on the day.
and handies. I've heard those work too.
Well, yeah, it's a bribe.
So you're going to be making it out here to the Spooky Murder Ghost there, Mike, or is this like your tournament for the year sort of thing, or?
I don't know yet. That's I'd like to, but I gotta see if that'll work.
Technically, it's also my birthday party. If that helps sell it with your wife, so
that is a selling point. Yeah.
See, there you go.
And John wasn't able to make it at Crossroads.
Yeah, see, so now you have to come.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'd like to.
What about you there, Ray? Are you finally going to come now? You're just not you're not going to pass this one over?
No, I'm going to come, and I'm probably going to show you how to play Trident Realm, Ben.
Oh, yes.
You can try.
Yes.
But we've proven this before that you can't beat me with them. So
well, not when you're playing the pointy-eared elves. But are you going to be playing a real army, or are you going to be playing Trident Realm?
I will not be playing elves. I'm going to go that far.
It sounds like a grudge to me. Like that sounds like a challenge.
I'll play him again in the first round. I mean, why not? He hasn't beat me yet, so I mean, it's a free win.
It probably is.
My internet froze again. I have no idea what just happened.
Oh, good. That grudge doesn't count then.
Ben,
so you guys are grudged.
I'll do an appropriate grudge video for you, John. Don't worry. I'll find like Under the Sea or something like that from Little Mermaid.
There we go.
Just make sure you load the right video there, Ray.
Action up in there. Yeah, make sure it's someone with just aerial, not aerial and flounder. It gets real weird, real fast. Just saying.
Well, before we go, I think we'll at some point we will be going over all this. You know, the internet is melting down over command dice and everything else, and at some point we will sit down and have a chat about it. No, not at all. We are going to, whether they like it or not. It's definitely going to happen. It's just let it happen.
It's not going to be a good chat.
No, well,
it's just command dice are a thing. If you want to do it, you do it.
Can we lose any more when we're? I'd like to thank Mike for showing up and taking the abuse that he's taken. I would like to thank Ray, but he hasn't done anything.
That's fair.
And thank God everybody's internet actually held up after a little while. So thanks a lot, guys, and hopefully we will see you all again really soon. Good night for now.
Thanks, guys.